Hey everybody, Sharon here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in the crew going for the Scrap Salvager achievement. This is to complete a hidden vehicle. There's going to be one hidden vehicle per region of the map. We are only required to complete one hidden vehicle in order to get the achievement. Each hidden vehicle is going to be split into 20 parts. Because this is going to be the starting area of the game, and for the sake of simplicity, we're going to go with the Midwest's hidden vehicle for our achievement. So the first part to kick us off is going to be right here in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Make sure you head to this part. From the northern road, we're going to drive into the forest, so make sure you crash through that barbed wire fence, and then smack dab in the middle of the forest is going to be the first vehicle part. They are going to come in the form of these car wrecks, so just make sure you try to look for them. You are going to have a little radar on your mini-map, which can help you out, and if you're trying to keep a visual, just make sure you look for the smoke coming out of the wreck. In order to pick it up, all you have to do is just make sure you drive next to it, and then once you are within its vicinity, that is going to count as picking it up. The game is going to have a built-in tracker that lets you know how many that you have. So with that out of the way, the second part's going to be farther down the peninsula right here in Dykesville. You want to make sure you head to the lower neighborhood. It's going to be just behind the house at the upper left corner. So make sure you set a waypoint for there. Unfortunately, there's going to be a fence in the background, so we are going to have to drive around a bit. So make sure you stick to the western road right here. You should be able to turn off right past this house, and this is going to wrap around behind the neighborhood, and you should be able to just follow the fence line until you get back to the upper left corner, but this time at the back side of all the houses. So just follow the wall, and then once this thing turns the corner, you're going to find the wreck right over here. You need to drive a little bit into the forest, but you should be able to see it from the neighborhood. And then just make sure you follow that plume of smoke, and that should take you to where the wreck is right over here. Make sure you grab that, and that's going to be number 2 out of the way. Moving on to number 3, you're going to have this smaller peninsula of the Upper Peninsula right here in Houghton area. Make sure you head on inside. You're going to have another foresty area. Make sure you look for this house on the eastern road, and then that's your cue to turn into the forest and just head straight down. You should be able to see the wreck right over here. Make sure you drive up to it and then grab the third part that you need. Next one up is going to be right here in the town of Barron, so make sure you head on over here. It's going to be a pretty small town, and then you're going to want to head over to the bottom right of town right here. This one's going to be in someone's front yard, so as you are driving down the street, just make sure you look for the smoking wreck right over here as you turn this corner. The collectible is going to be in this pile of junk right here, so once you notice the sofa, the trash bags, and the bicycle, it's going to be right there in the middle. That should put us at 4. Next one up is going to be right here in the upper part of the Black Hills. You want to make sure you go to this area right here. We're going to be coming in from the east. There should be a building right here that we can use for reference. So once you notice that you pass by this building, you're going to want to head behind it into the hills, and then we're going to start making the climb up. You're going to definitely need to use your nitro to get up these hillier areas. You can also try to fast travel hop if you're having trouble getting up to speed, but nonetheless, just make sure you make it up this hill, and then right here in this clearing should be your collectible. So once you get past this ridge right here and then get into this clearing, you should notice the collectible right here off to the left. So make sure you turn into it and then pick this one up. This one is going to be collectible number 5, which is going to put us at 1/4 of the way through. So that's going to make us move on to the next one right over here. This is going to be the eastern side of the Black Hills right over here. Make sure you are in the middle of these 2 lanes. You should see this makeshift road right here, and then we're going to follow this along. You should notice a water tower in the background. We're going to head in that general direction, so make sure you head on over there. There's going to be a building attached to the water tower. You're going to want to look behind it, and this is going to be where the wreck is going to be. So make sure you pick that up, and that's going to put us at 6. So just outside of Chicago, going west, is going to be this empty field. In the middle of said empty field is going to be this farmhouse just off the road. What you want to do is you want to make sure you pull into said farmhouse. So as soon as you notice the driveway lined with the fence right here, just make sure you pull in to the farm, and you're going to want to head over to where the barn is going to be. Make sure you drive up to the barn. Right inside is going to be the vehicle. You can't drive up to it, so just make sure you kind of hang around outside, but you should be able to pick it up, which is going to put us at 7. Next one up is going to be farther west. It's going to be right here in the middle of the Badlands area, so make sure you head on over here. You are going to want to be on this road, and you're going to want to drive in to the mountains right here. There's going to be this C-shaped valley that you can drive into. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you follow the rock face until you get to the depression of the valley, and then right at the middle is going to be the wreck where you'll find the next collectible. So right over here in the heart of the sea is going to be the depression. Just make sure you head downhill, and then you should be able to grab it right over here. This is going to put us at 8 out of 20. That's going to bring us over to the Kansas area for our next stop. We're going to be on the west side of the sunflower field. You're going to notice that you're going to have a processing plant right here. Just look for the giant complex with all the silos. Head on over there. Hard to miss, especially if it's nighttime, since it's going to be super lit up. We're going to want to drive on inside. Thankfully, the fence is going to be super destructible. We're going to head in from this side and then just wrap around here. You are going to have the sunflower field on your left for a reference. You're going to have this tunnel right here that goes between these two silos. The wreck is going to be underneath this shelter right here, so make sure you look for it. That's going to put us at number 9. Next, we're going to cross the river over here to Mother Road 66. We're going to be over to this left part right here. We're going to drive into this forest. So right as the road bends right here to the left, we're going to turn right into the forest. And then once you are in here, you're going to want to drive. And we're going to keep driving until we leave the forest and then hit the cornfield. The collectible is going to be right on the border of this woodsy area and where the cornfield begins. So right as the tree line ends, you're going to want to look around for the wreck. So just make sure you pay very close attention. Once you get to the field, just make sure you look in this general area. It's not going to be in the field. It's going to be where the trees are. So just make sure you just drive around for a bit, and eventually it should pop up. And then once you notice the smoke, just make sure you follow that, and then follow that to the wreck where you'll find the next collectible, which is going to put us at 10, which is going to be the halfway point. So right over here next to this tree, and that's going to allow us to move on to the next one. So next one up is going to be the bottom side of Lake Michigan. You're going to have this area just outside of Chicago on the way to Detroit called the Industrial Harbor. You're going to have the main pier here. You're going to find the collectible at the end of the pier where it touches the water. So make sure you head over in this direction. This one's going to be pretty hard to miss as long as you know the general vicinity. So once you see the shipping containers, unfortunately you can't squeeze through that. You probably can with a motorcycle. However, if you have a car, you're going to have to steer your way around. So just make sure you stick to the edge of the pier, and that should take you all the way around. And then on this side of the shipping containers should be the wreck. It's going to be right over here. So make sure you look for it between these two sets of shipping containers, and then make sure you grab it. That's going to put us at 11. So next one up is going to be right here outside of Detroit. You're going to have this one just south of Monroe. You're going to have an industrial complex right here off the road. You're going to go just past that. So keep following the road. This is heading west. And then we're going to notice there's going to be a highway sign right here off to the left. Once you notice that, we're going to turn left right here. This is going to be right before the billboard. And then inside this woodsy area is going to be the wreck right here. It should be pretty noticeable from the road. So this one isn't going to be buried super deep in the forest or anything. So drive up to it, and that's going to put us at 12 out of 20. So next one up is going to be right here. This is going to be the Lake Erie southern shoreline. You're going to have this little settlement right over here. There's going to be a government building looking area in the center of town. It should pretty much be the major landmark of the area. Very hard to miss. So make sure you head on to town first and foremost. So once you are in town, make sure you go past the motel and then look for the building with the dome on it. We're going to head down the left side from this vantage point. And then once you are back here, we're going to go right next door. So this is going to be the back side of the building. You want to make sure you go to the right of this. So there's going to be the back entrance. We're going to go to the buildings immediately over to the right. So just make sure you turn and then head on over to where the neighbors are. We're going to need to go from this side, and you should be able to find the wreck right here in this little alcove. So drive up to it and then grab your next collectible, and this is going to put us at number 13. So from there, we're going to go south a bit. We're going to be just south of the Holmes County fields in kind of Ohio area. You're going to have this part of the river that takes a sharp bend up. Make sure you head to that part. You're going to want to be on the eastern side of that bend. Following the riverfront is going to take us to where the next collectible is going to be. While you are driving down to this parallel road, you're going to notice there's going to be a farm stand just past these silos right here. So make sure you pay attention for the farm stand. That's how you know you're going to be in the right area. And then once you notice that farm stand, you're going to want to look at the riverfront directly behind said farm stand. So farm stand is going to be right there for reference. It's going to be our cue to pull over to the waterfront, and we're going to look around the water shore for the collectible. It's going to be right over here in this general vicinity. So there's the river for reference, and then we're just going to look around and then find the collectible just beyond the brush right here, and that's going to be number 14. Next one up is going to be right here in St. Louis, finally going to the city for a change. We're going to be in the north part of St. Louis right here. There's going to be this storage facility that you want to look for. Very hard to miss. It's going to be the place with a bunch of garage doors. But just make sure you drive up to that. And then once you are here, we're going to drive over here where this tree is. And this is going to take us to this back corner. In this big grassy lot is going to be the collectible right over here next to this tree and this chain linked fence. Make sure you pick this one up, and that's going to put us at 15 out of 20, already 3/4 of the way through, on to the final 5. So next one up is going to be right outside of town. It's going to be across the river in this kind of woodsy area. You're going to want to head over to the shoreline. You're going to want to look right next to the shipping vessel on the mini map. That's going to be the best tell for where it is. This one's going to be a little difficult to find since it's not exactly on the waterfront. It's going to be a little bit inland. So try your best to head over to the river. You're going to want to stay a little bit far away from the shoreline, and then you should be able to find it going upstream. But again, this one's going to be a little far away from any major landmarks, and everything's going to look pretty samey in this little woodsy area from this angle. So try your best to find this one, but this one is going to require a little bit of patience if you do get lost. Just remember, if you do get lost, just make sure you look for the shipping vessel in the water, and you should be able to navigate your way back. But it's going to be right over here on the hillside. That's going to be number 16. Following that one up is going to take us down to this peninsula right over here, where the river is going to bend all over the place. From the road that splits the peninsula into two, we're going to go into the woods right here off to the left. You're going to want to look for this bend in the shoreline, and it's going to be in this general area. Again, this one's going to be a little frustrating. It's not going to be super close inland, so it's going to be closer to the shore than the last one. But once again, try to be a little patient with these, as the woodsy areas are all going to look fairly samey. 20. So just make sure you head through the woods, and then along your way, just make sure you pay attention for any smoke, and then eventually you should be able to find it. But right before you hit the water, it should be right over here, so make sure you drive up to it, and then you should be golden for another one. This is going to be number 17, which is going to put us with just 3 left to find, thankfully, so make sure you pick this one up and pocket it. Thankfully, this one's going to be a pretty easy one compared to the last two. This one's going to be in the Central Plains area. You're going to find this farm complex right here off the road. Very easy landmark to spot out. You're going to drive on through. There's going to be a barn in the middle of said complex. Just drive through the barn, and then in the middle of it is going to be the next wreck. It's going to be underneath another shelter, but this one's going to be very hard to miss since you're going to find it in a building area in the middle of nowhere. So just make sure you look for the landmark on your minimap. Drive in to the barn and then grab it right here between the silos. That's going to be number 18. 2 more left. Next one up is going to be a pretty easy one to spot. This is going to be driving towards the central woods on the border of the Midwest and the Mountain States. You're going to have this T-shaped intersection right here. Right before the bend is going to be this building off to the left. Make sure you head on over there. Now, thankfully, this one is going to be super duper easy to spot, as you're going to have a giant water tower that's going to indicate where the building is going to be. So make sure once you notice the water tower, head behind the building, and then in between it and the water tower is going to be the next collectible. So drive up to it, and that's going to be our penultimate one, putting us at 19 out of 20, and with 1 left to go. So, final one that we have to get is going to be in the southern part of Pikes Peak. You're going to have this very mountainous area that's going to be very annoying to drive through. You want to make sure you pay very close attention to the mini-map. Zoom in as much as you can. You're going to want to look for this clearing right here where the green kind of touches the sandy color. You're going to have this big clearing right here. The collectible is going to be at the end of this clearing, which is going to be a cliff. So, make sure you drive here, or more likely you're going to fast travel hop, since that's going to be the easiest way to navigate around mountainous areas that you can't drive up super duper easy. But at the end of this peak is going to be the collectible. You should be able to notice it since the smoke isn't going to be covered by any trees or anything, and it's going to be right here on this ledge. Just drive up to it, and then once you have all 20 out of 20 pieces, you should have your hidden vehicle unlocked. Make sure you head back to the HQ to assemble the car, and then once you put it back together, you should be good for the achievement on the little preview screen. So hit the A button to head back to HQ. You should have this cutscene where you complete it, and you can enjoy it in all of its vintage glory, but more importantly, you should be good for the achievement for 10 gamer score, and that's all there is to it.